They're on their knees pleading with billionaires and oligarchs and monopolists in Silicon Valley to censor in the way that they believe is politically advantageous.
U.S. Ministry of Truth is what critics say Democratic Party lawmakers are gunning for after Donald Trump and thousands of his supporters were kicked off the major social media platforms. Politicians affiliated to President-elect Joe Biden now want to clamp down on anything they brand disinformation.
We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation.
So bridle the news media and teach people how to properly consume news. Now, you can see where this is heading for AOC's critics.
Let's unpack this proposal. She wants to basically establish a ministry of truth. We've all read 1984, and you know, to determine what is truth and what is not. So who sits on this committee exactly, I'm curious, that she's talking about?
It's fine for a member of Congress to blast the media. President Trump has been known to do that now and again. But I don't want some federal commission deciding what is false.
But what AOC wants the government to do is already being done by social media's gatekeepers. Donald Trump and his closest supporters have been taken off of social media one by one. At this point, we've seen Twitter's rival Parler dropped from the app stores before being shut down by Amazon completely. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey was caught on tape, suggesting this is just the beginning.
We are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger than just one account. So the focus is certainly on this account and how it ties to real world violence, but also we need to think much longer term around how these dynamics play out over time. I don't believe this is going away anytime soon.
The Democratic Party, including its liberal wing and its left wing, are very much on board with the idea that we cannot have free speech in this age of whatever they want to call it, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, right-wing extremism, because it's simply too dangerous. And not only should the free speech be restricted by laws enacted by Congress, which presumably would have to mean amending the First Amendment, but until then, they're on their knees pleading with billionaires and oligarchs and monopolists in Silicon Valley to censor in the way that they believe is politically advantageous. If you wanted to go on Twitter and post a link to the New York Post reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop, which contained a lot of information about what Joe Biden was doing in Ukraine, what he was doing in China when he was the presidential frontrunner, you couldn't even post the link. They had banned it. Facebook algorithmically announced through a longtime Democratic Party operative who now works at Facebook that they were going to suppress the spread of that story. That was stunning intervention on the part of Silicon Valley.
Let's talk about removing Donald Trump from social media platforms. I think even the shopping network? I mean, and why that's dangerous, a dangerous precedent.
I found it really interesting that numerous world leaders, including ones who have a famously acrimonious relationship with President Trump, stood up and very vehemently denounced Twitter's decision and Facebook's decision to ban President Trump from the platform. That includes Chancellor Angela Merkel, who's a center-right politician with whom Trump has argued and bickered almost his entire presidency. Why? Because they're extremely concerned that these private tech monopolies, who they cannot battle. The EU has been trying to break up Google and break up Facebook for years, and they simply can't because they're too powerful, are also coming for their democracies. And they know that if Facebook and Twitter can block President Trump from accessing the internet, they know it can be done to them as well and to their countries as well. They simply destroyed a competing platform at the urging of people like Congressman Ro Khanna, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They issued demands for it on Twitter, and within 72 hours, Parler was gone from the internet. So it doesn't take much to understand why this is so dangerous, that our speech, our ability to organize on the internet and to be heard is concentrated in the hands of a tiny number of Silicon Valley oligarchs who exist completely outside of the realm of democratic accountability, who operate with no transparency and with no limits.